is Alissa Overend. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Sociology at MacEwan University. I'm a sociologist by training, and so I tend to argue on the nurture side of the nature-nurture debates. And I think food is an interesting one because it is a biological necessity. It does have biological properties, but it's also so rooted to identity, to childhood, to family, to culture. We all have misconceptions about food, in part because we're so far removed from it. I think the one for me that really probably irks me the most is this idea that there's one way to eat, and that 8 billion people all over the world with vastly different histories and traditions should all eat the same. And I think that's a large misconception. I think people need to look back to their own cultural food roots, traditional recipes, and there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge in that. So I think learning about food culture and food more broadly in any way, whether it's starting a little garden box in your windowsill or joining a community garden, whatever the thing is exploring curiosity around your own food and where it comes from. Food prices are extremely high. They've continued to grow post the pandemic. We also have the highest rates of food insecurity we've seen in Canada. I know that the average consumer will go to the grocery store and just sort of look at, cost only. But we have to remember that there's a lot of hidden costs too. The other issue is in time, if we only are supporting globalized or industrialized food systems, we may lose out on sustaining local food systems, and then we become very vulnerable or dependent on things like food increases. One of the things my students talk a lot about is that interactional component that you get when buying from a farm or a farmer. What's in season? What do I do with this? You get a little bit of that. Grocery stores are so devoid of that, particularly with things like self-checkout or even Instacart, that you're even that much further removed from the food source. So I think getting people back in conversation with people that produce food, so removing that kind of middle person of the grocery store, can be a real benefit. At the end of the day, land is what grows food, not grocery stores. When you ask young kids all over the world where food comes from, they'll say the grocery store. And in this day and age, they're not wrong, but I think we have lost that connection to the land. Land is literally what gives us food, but it's also that connection, which we've talked a little bit about already in terms of culture, community, history, and just that more holistic aspect of living, which we don't have a lot of in the way society is run currently. So I think there is something intangible that you get by being on the land with food and in community. I don't think we're at a point where we're going to get rid of grocery stores entirely, but I'm hoping that in raising awareness of just how many alternative food sources exist at people's fingertips, Edmonton has a ton of farmers markets that people might realize the benefit. I think there's a joy in going to the market. It's exciting. And then once you taste a tomato from there compared to the grocery store, they don't taste anything alike. And you realize you've been missing some of that.